I would love for you to talk a little bit about some of the community programs that schools do and how getting involved in the community really does kind of keep them close to the university, or at least we hope it will.
Yeah, it was something we really did big time when my first time at University of Houston. So Houston is not a college town, massive city. A lot of people move in. You've got international diversity. You just get so much Houston's a different city. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's,
Very
you go to,
different.
yeah, you go to grocery store, you have 57 languages. Like it's crazy. Like one time I heard French. Yeah, it's crazy. And so what we had to do is our biggest fight at the University of Houston was Texas and Texas A&M. Those are what you see all the time. And those two now, well, Texas now being an SEC school, you see that everywhere. So we had to go to the elementary school. And what we did was there was one elementary school about half a mile away from our stadium that we would come every Thursday and do reading time with them. Reading literacy was low, and our players would come and spend time with them. The first time it was like a little rally, but our players would show up, and what happened was it was an accountability measure for, let's say, little Johnny, right? Little Johnny, if you want to be with the University of Houston football players, you have to finish this worksheet, right? Or you have to read this. And our players, we had one player who didn't play. Like he was like, "Did you get it done? All right, go move around. Don't come over here." And it's just not only do we get our players because it helps the community, but it helps our players. It helps them see how much bigger they are. Because what I found out at every place I've been, when they're in the community and they make a mistake and you say, "Hey, little Johnny's going to miss out of seeing you this week because you don't know how to go to academics, or you don't know how to wake up for this, or you missed this class or whatever." Now it's like they're accountable to someone. So you have this accountability relationship where it's little Johnny and player A, and they kind of work together. That was one way we did it. Another one we did was engaging, and we did, like, Central, since the city was so big, we tried to stay within five. We tried to touch every school within a 5 mile radius, every elementary or middle school. But then we had so many people that lived around the city that were alumni principals. We would always do that once a month. And so what you're really trying to drive in that community aspect for us, that was the education piece. And that was big. But we also had an environment piece. So can we clean up we were in the third ward, which is a very traditional area in Houston. And we cleaned up one time. That was environmental. Health, can we help with health? So it was pretty interesting. They had a program at the University of Houston that was working with obesity in children. And
Mm.
so we actually would go over and we did like a whole football camp for them. It was pretty awesome. Like we went to our practice facility, had the sled, had the bags, had this, and just showed them that moving helps. And then the last one would be hunger. So education, environment, health, hunger. So, there's different pantries around the cities, kitchens, different things like that. We're able to help there. So I got to doing it by fours because what happened was there was players who did not like reading. There were players who did not like going to hospitals, but there were players who loved going to hospitals. There were players that love reading. And so I was like, okay, how do we tier this? Because it became a competitive thing with our head coach. He would ask a position group, "Hey, linebackers, hey, I talked to Ed. You guys got 2 community hours. We got a freshman receiver that's got 8, and it's 8 linebackers. How do you have 2?" So it became, and they wanted to do things, but sectioning it into those phrases allowed our players to do more impact. But it's really big because, as you said, when the players know that it's bigger than them, they get the community then started showing up to our games. They didn't know who we were. Like, this isn't a college town at the University of Houston, or even Lawrence when I was there a little bit, or even Baylor, honestly. 3 universities I worked at, people come to games, but it's not what you see in the SEC where it's like, we're going to the game. So
Yeah.
we had to build that. And one way to build it is to provide value to the community. And it's an easier ask to say, "Hey, we would love for you all to come support us on Saturday." So
Yeah.